Okay, guys, as you can see, this is Socrative, which I think is an extremely useful diagnostic tool for working out and picking out what is a issue with our students' learning and understanding in their remote period, but of course you could use that anytime, and where there are strengths. And basically the idea is to help us target what we're going to need to focus on to bring them up to speed, and those areas which might not have led to learning despite how much we might have felt they were engaging. In fact, it hasn't stuck, so we need to revisit it and we need to try and build those processes to get it into our working memory. So from our working memory into our long-term memory. So from here now, you will be asked to sign up if you haven't already. It's all free. You can go for a premium account, but I'm working from a free account. Obviously, I'm all logged in on here anyway, but you will need to sign up. Quick process, and I can vouch for the fact they don't send you loads and loads of emails and spam you at all, because I definitely haven't had that experience. So teacher login. And this will now take me to my home page, as it were, as the teacher. Now, under my account as a free member, I am entitled to one room. I think premium, the big difference is you can have more than one, but I only feel I need one. And the login for my room, which all students will use when they log in, is this, Patterson3859. You'll have your own login, and crucially, in my view, the students, they don't need any sort of login work themselves on Socrative. They don't have to sign up with email addresses and that sort of thing. They just go in and enter the room, as it were. If you want them to log in, you can do that, because you are going to want to know their names for your analysis, which I'll come on to in a moment. So this is our home page. Now in here I've got my quizzes. I'm not going to go through creating a quiz because I've already created them for what I need, but it's very, very straightforward, not too dissimilar from Google Forms quizzes. And actually I would say the whole format of Socrative is much more user-friendly than Google Forms. So you can create quizzes in here, but you can see that I have my own quizzes that I've pre-created in here, which is extremely useful for reasons I'll come on to in terms of sharing those quizzes later. I've got my room, which is here, and under my room, if I've got a live room, that's the only time that can be used, one room at a time, and in that room, just as in a classroom being used for a quiz, if you imagine it that way, I can invite a class in, and they can't do more quizzes than one at once, and you can't have more than one class doing the quiz in the room at once. So this is my default room, in my case Patterson3859. What I simply do is I share it with the students, Socrative.com and Patterson3859. That takes them into the quiz, and to do that I click launch quiz. Yes, I choose one of these that I want the students to have a go at. So let's say, for the sake of this, I'm doing Cold War crises. Okay. So once I've chosen, and you can choose more than one, I think, but I would suggest just doing one at a time. You can do instant feedback where they answer and they immediately get the question feedback. You can also do teacher paced, where you do a question, get the answers, respond to them. My favourite is open navigation. That's what I strongly recommend personally to use at this stage. Require names, yes, you can choose whether you want them to get their score at the end. That's up to you. Shuffle questions, shuffle answers. That's only really worth doing if you've got them doing the quiz alongside each other. But in the remote learning environment, that isn't an issue, so I'm not going to bother with that. Then I start it, and students immediately have on their screen the questions start to come up. I've set it there. They can do them in any order that they like. It doesn't matter, but it is significant that they work their way through it within the time limit that you've set. So I set a 10-minute time limit. At the end of those 10 minutes, I click finish. When it goes to finish, they come into my reports. However, you can't see it at the moment because nobody's doing it because it's not live. But when you're doing it live, you get the live information of how the students are doing as they go through. So if you want to sit there and follow it, by all means do that. Now, this is a bit which I think is the most useful. Once it has been done, you can go to reports. And so I did some quizzes with my students earlier on. So I said Cold War crisis, so it makes sense to go back into there. So I'm going to click and open it. Now, I'm not going to show the names because I'm sharing it as a video, but you obviously, when you do it, can reveal the names and you can see them all, which is really useful. Incidentally, just as a tip, when you're watching it live, you can click here and change it to progress. That's really useful because you can then see when the students have finished in those 10 minutes, who might need a little bit longer, and also if somebody has logged in but isn't actually doing anything. Okay, so that's there. Obviously, I've then got score, a percentage, what percent they have achieved on this. Pretty varied, as you'd expect. We've got from 90% right the way down to 25%. And I can, judge that myself and work that out and decide what I want to do with that. Now, I can show the responses and I can show the results. Very simple. Green means that on that question, they chose the right answer, and it tells you which of the choices they've gone for. So as we can see here on question 1, overall 67%, so 2/3 of the respondents answered that question correctly. I want higher than that, so that I'm sure is going to be 1, as you can see from the amount of red I'm going to want to go back to, and I can click here, and really usefully it reminds me what the question is. I suspect of mine that they will have been blinded by Russians and some of them have chosen the wrong ones here. So I click show results. The right answer is Alexander Dubček, and sure enough, we've got Gorbachev and Brezhnev scoring highly. So I know there that there is, for 1/3 of our students, my students, there is an issue with getting that one right. So I'm going to go back. Maybe by having a look at these percentages, I can start to work out, is there a problem with this particular period, this particular aspect? Along the bottom here, again, extremely useful. I can see the percentages for questions that they have got right and they've got wrong. So I can basically work out what I want to prioritize based on that. So I'm not going to bother prioritizing my 95%, but definitely we've got a 29%, which means that obviously more than one out of every 3 is getting that right. It's not enough. Less than 1 out of every 3 even. Good language. So I'm going to click there. What was that question? How did the American president respond to Soviet demand to withdraw from Berlin in June 1961? Now, he immediately visited West Berlin. This is classic because, of course, aber ich bin ein Berliner. It's a completely understandable misconception for them to make that they've jumped on that. It's an issue of chronology. It's an issue with narrative because the answer is he increased military spending. That doesn't happen until 1963. So it clearly demonstrates to me, and most likely what I will do is to use the timeline, the infographic, go back to it and do some work on chronology. So that's what I mean by diagnostic. It's really, really useful, really effective method for doing it. And the beautiful part of it as well is that you can, if you want to, you can share it with other members of the team. You can export it into a spreadsheet if you want to keep it as a record, although they do all stay on the website as well. But, for using the data, you might prefer to have it in a spreadsheet. Now, a fantastic aspect of it is that, as I said, you can share it with each other. So if you go back to quizzes, it will tell me here all of the quizzes that I am currently, I have made available, that I have used ever before. So if I want to share it with my team, this quiz for them to use, if I click share here and I copy that to take it to a document that I've been making for my team so they're able to do it, I've actually got all of the hyperlinks to those different quizzes. So all a member of my team has to do is to follow the hyperlink. It takes them to that quiz and they can click to add that to their own stock. meaning that when they have their class and they want to launch any one of those quizzes, they can do. It's really, really straightforward. It's really simple and it's really effective. And I think personally there's no better time than the present, this video being made in early to late February 2021, to be able to diagnose what is it that our students know, what is it that our students don't know, in order to influence our next steps. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you.